We've known for a long time that the tiny little spines or papillae on a cat's tongue are useful for grooming and feeding, but we've never been exactly sure how. That is until researchers used high-speed cameras to observe a cat's tongue in action. And they found that these tiny little spines hook and curve and even pinch together to grab onto tiny little bits of food or debris. This hooking and curving action is also useful for getting snags out of the cat's fur, and so the researchers have already begun the patent process for a brand new hairbrush that is easier to use and easier to clean, thanks to cats' tongues. After 3 years and $140 million, the Baipanjiang Bridge has opened, connecting two provinces in China's mountainous southwestern region. The bridge is the highest one ever built and shortens commutes by over 3 hours. Now, the design of the bridge is called cable-stayed. Cable-stayed bridges rest on a very simple physical principle. Let's say my arms are the bridge and gravity wants to pull my arms down to the ground. But if I take some cables and attach the bridge to a center pylon, the tension in that cable transfers the force of gravity up the cables and down through the center pylon, allowing it to support the weight of the bridge. You may have heard in the news recently something about CRISPR. Now, that's not a cracker, it's a new tool for editing DNA. And what it does is it tracks along DNA to find just the right spot, goes in and snips the DNA at that spot. So you can actually add to DNA, you can remove, you can edit a strand of DNA just like you would a word processor. And here's the best part. We didn't even make up this process. Nature herself made up this process. We got it by studying bacteria. Bacteria use this CRISPR sequence to fight against viral infections. So we're just using a technique already found in nature to do other cool things. Researchers studying data taken by the Japanese lunar orbiter Kaguya have found that oxygen atoms from our own atmosphere can make their way onto the surface of the moon. This happens when the solar wind, a stream of charged particles continuously generated by the sun, encounters the Earth's magnetic field. These charged particles wrap around the Earth and form a long tail, and this tail contains bits and pieces of our own atmosphere, including oxygen. And when the moon passes behind the Earth, those bits and pieces of our atmosphere can find their way to the moon. Now, we don't have a complete understanding of the history of our atmosphere, but there might be a record of it on the surface of the moon. NASA scientists working with the Hubble Space Telescope have announced the direct observation of water plumes erupting from the surface of Europa. Now, Europa is the second major moon of Jupiter and is encased in a thick crust of ice. And we've long suspected that underneath that ice is a liquid water ocean. But these observations make us 100% sure that there is one. And these plumes allow us to study that water in detail without having to drill through 100 kilometers of ice. And the European Space Agency and NASA are designing and building missions right now to do just that. So stay tuned.